Hello, Packers fans. Welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined by Ryan Wood here at Lambeau Field, where we have wrapped up Monday's practice. It is, in fact, Monday. Is that right?
It's thrown me off because we practiced on Sunday.
Yes.
We had practice on Sunday, and then that felt like a Monday, and this feels like Tuesday. I literally was talking with someone, and I'm like, I don't know what day it is. I have no idea. It's that point in camp. And I think it's Monday, though. I think you're right.
Bachelorette comes on tonight, so that's Monday.
I wouldn't know that. These are the advantages that you have that just completely elude me.
I think we all had a moment of panic this morning when we got an email that Matt LaFleur's Tuesday press conference had been moved up. I think the vast majority of media members thought today was Tuesday because that is certainly what it feels like. But that's what a week's going to feel like when you have a Thursday game, which is what the Packers have this week. Their final preseason game this Thursday against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Ryan, before we get into practice, let's talk about what it seems to be the topic of conversation this week. Will the starters play or not on Thursday? I asked Aaron Rodgers if he had thought any more about it, and he said, nope, it's whatever Matt wants. Now, we know that when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, what he wants is really what's going to be taken into account. Because Matt LaFleur told us this morning that he's made up his mind. He just wanted to let the team know first. And then I asked Rasul Douglas about it in the locker room as well, and he said, we're playing.
I got mixed signals from Matt LaFleur because didn't he then go back and say, I kind of want to see these next two practices first?
Yeah, he hedged his bets. I thought he was hedging his bets by saying that.
It initially seemed like he never said he'd made up his mind. He said that he hadn't talked to the team first, which indicated he made up his mind. But then he said that he wanted to see the next two practices first. We've talked about it on the podcast. I think that Matt LaFleur, it's just a hunch. It's a guess. I don't know this. I think Matt LaFleur wants to play, and I think that there's some certain players, not to mention anyone, but his name rhymes with Aaron Rodgers, that might feel a little differently.
Jordan Rodgers' brother?
Yeah, Jordan Rodgers' brother might feel differently. We'll see. You know where I stand on the defense. Don't play the defense. I know you disagree. Don't play the defense. There's no need. Don't even risk the injury because that every position, top line of the depth chart, really solid. Half the positions, the back end, the edge, there's some questionable depth there. I would play the offense, though. I mean, I think that this offense has been getting its lumps handed to him all camp. I'd put Aaron Rodgers out there for a quarter and let them play.
Matt LaFleur said he might let us know on Tuesday what his decision is. He might not. I guess it depends on what mood he's in. So we will keep you updated on that. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. We'll get to a few here. You mentioned offense taking their lumps in practice. That happened again today, Monday. Perhaps even more so for the vast majority of practice, the offense was taking their lumps. And the defense was letting them hear it. Rasul Douglas, Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes especially, they were on one today, Ryan, patting down passes, letting the offense know about it. And then there was that 2-minute drive. Rodgers came back and hit a couple. Douglas told us in the locker room, he said, I started talking, and then Rodgers got two on me to Cobby. And so it just kind of reminds you that at the end of the day, they do still have Aaron Rodgers there at quarterback. That being said, how fast does this offense need to progress before week one?
Well, it's a double-edged sword that Matt LaFleur talked about. First, on the defense, I've covered this team since 2014. I've never seen – this is the best Packers defense I've ever seen. It's not close. I asked Aaron Rodgers today, is this the best Packers defense that you've practiced against in camp? And he mentioned 09, he mentioned 10, he mentioned 14. The 14 defense is real good. It had Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews was still a stud. B.J. Raji on that. In fact, B.J. Raji had the injury that year, so he was not on the defensive line. But Mike Daniels really came into his own that year. They had a lot of pieces. Wasn't this good? And within the confines of that, Kassidy, I thought today, of all the days, this was the biggest butt kicking that I've ever seen the Packers defense hand the Packers offense in all my time on this beat. I've never seen it like it was today. They were wrecking practice. They were literally unable to practice. You saw Aaron Rodgers toss the ball into the ground time and time again because they didn't have a play. There was one stretch in about a 5-rep series where they went sack, then a couple incompletions, then a picked interception for Adrian Amos. And I thought that maybe the most telling rep of the entire day was the first rep of the first down drill. The very first rep, Josh Nijman jumps false start. They were living rent-free inside that offensive line's head. And it's been a long time coming because it's been like that all of camp. but I've never quite seen it like today. And just the bobbing, the dancing between reps. It's one thing to play good. It's another thing to know you're good. This defense was kicking the offense's butt, and it knew it was kicking the offense's butt, and it knew that the next play, it would continue to kick the offense's butt. I've never seen it like that. So the offense got some work to do, and that's kind of why I want to see the offense play on Thursday night. Is not just they need some work to do, but I want to know how good this defense is, because if you see Aaron Rodgers kind of get some plays going and move the offense against the Chiefs, okay, but if they get stymied too, then maybe the defense isn't quite as good as we think, and the offense has a long way to go. I don't know if we know that yet.
What is it Primetime used to say? Feel good, play good?
Yeah.
They were definitely feeling good for most of practice today. You mentioned the Nyman false start. There were a lot of procedural penalties on the offense today, both first team and second team. Is that a benefit to possibly playing on Thursday, to just sort of work out some of those kinks, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely it is. I think everyone knows getting Rodgers, the Rodgers offense with everyone around him, not just the offensive line, the receivers, getting that in a live setting is important. But getting set up and just ironing out those kinks, the small things, the simple things that they're still having issues with, would be an advantage as well. Yeah, I think there's a lot of pluses to playing the offense. Defense, don't even take them to Kansas City. You leave them right there. You put them on ice, and you wait for week 1 in Minnesota.
And it sounds like the defense are the ones who feel assured that they're playing on Thursday, and offense isn't quite sure. We're getting a little wet over here. We actually were talking today about all of that goes into keeping Lambeau Field, the field, perfect, and we are experiencing the benefits of it right now. We have a couple of questions here from viewers. First one from Randy: is Vernon Scott okay? LaFleur kind of effaced on that today. He said he hasn't gotten a sure word. Do you feel like he's? What is your opinion?
Well, he's got one shoulder. The problem is he needs two. And right now, the other one is banged up. We don't know how serious it is. Shoulder injuries has a very wide array of issues. It can be something that you play through. It can be miss the rest of the season like Jair Alexander did, right? So we'll just have to see. I mean, it's tough to say with a shoulder.
Great question here from Steve. Who wins the job of the number 3 running back, Taylor, or I believe you meant to say Goodson here, Patrick Taylor or Goodson?
Or Dexter Williams. Pete Doherty and I very much disagree on this. I think that there's a very real chance, if not likelihood, that number 3 running back is going to be, whoever wins it, is going to be on the practice squad. With the practice squad elevations, you know what you got, obviously, in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And his point, we talked about this after practice today, his point was you can lose both those guys in the same game. And that's true. I mean, running back, the attrition at that position is it's profound. But with these practice squad elevations, I wouldn't be surprised whoever it is, and I don't know who it'll be. It'll be a special teamer, most likely. But whoever it is, you put him on your 69, not your 53, and you elevate him for game day.
Yeah, it's a whole new way of thinking about the math with being able to have 16 practice squad players. Speaking of the special teams aspect of it, I asked Matt LaFleur about that today. You know, are you evaluating those bubble guys for special teams even more so than you would in the past because of Rich Bisaccia being in your head? And he said, absolutely. You know, what a guy might have been able to contribute in the past, it's now even more so weighted towards what he can contribute on special teams. So something to watch as woo-hoo!
See that? It just missed.
We're just
we're that just went around us. I was watching it come, and I'm like, oh boy, here it goes. Nope.
We're doing our part to keep Lambeau Field's grass beautiful, doing our 1/11th. Brian asked, how was Christian Watson today? Do you think we'll see him in the KC game?
He looked really good. He had a great catch, 27 yards in this not really 2-minute drill. It was a 50-second drill where they had the ball on the opposing 35-yard line, and they were down by 2. They needed the field goal, and it was 4th and 10, and they were at the 40, and they were cooked, the second-team offense, and Jordan Love threw a perfect ball. You've seen that a bit this preseason. He threw a perfect ball to the right sideline, and Christian Watson plucked it. I mean, he mossed Rico Gafford. Rico Gafford was calling for the OPI, wanted the flag. There was no flag. I did not think it was a push-off. Rico Gafford might disagree. Christian Watson certainly didn't think it was a push-off. But it was for 2 team rep days, and he's only taken team reps yesterday and today. He's looked pretty good. It's a long way to go. Very, very long way to go. Let's not get too excited and start doing cartwheels here, but you can see the size and the speed. As far as Thursday, yeah, if he's taking team reps, I don't see why not.
With that in mind, Matthew asked, are we going to sign a veteran wide receiver? Rodgers today, seemed a little hesitant about the distance some of these rookie receivers still needed to go. But do you feel like they have enough here right away?
I think they've got some talent here. Romeo Dobbs is a really talented guy. Has he made some rookie mistakes? Yeah. Does he drop the ball occasionally? Yes. Does he adjust to the ball in midair with over the wrong shoulder? Yes. The play that he had where he inside look and then went to the outside. You'll see some of that. He's a really talented guy. Christian Watson, been very brief, but we've seen some talent from him. I don't think that they're going to add a veteran. You never know. I mean, if there's a guy out there they got to have, they're going to go get him. That's just at any position, not just receiver. But there's a lot of talent, and I think that you're going to see some growing pains. You're going to see a learning curve, and it's going to make Mr. Aaron Rodgers' long hair perhaps pull his hair out occasionally through the first month, maybe two. But I think they benefit that going through that early in the season for the stretch run. There's talent at that position. They got to grow and mature and develop. But I think in the long run, they're better for playing early in the year.
I see a couple of questions on here about possible roster cuts and about making the 53. We do still have another week before they have to cut down to the 53. So let's kind of see, because they have to be down to 80 by tomorrow. So we're going to see how that shakes out, what the roster looks like after the Kansas City game, and then we'll really kind of start getting down into the nitty-gritty of what might happen on the 53. So I just didn't want y'all to think I was ignoring those questions.
If there's any though that I haven't looked at it yet, but if there's any there that you find interesting, Kassidy, you can.
Well,
I'll tell you if I don't know. There's some things I don't know yet. I haven't really looked at. I'm going to do that tonight, tomorrow. We got a roster breakdown coming Thursday morning with who's on a lock, who's a good bet, who's on the bubble, who's a long shot. I won't have my projected 53 out until that, but if I've been starting to think that way a little bit.
Okay, so as far as who's a lock, who's on the bubble, here's a good one about Micah Abernathy. Just with how he's played the past couple of weeks, is he played his way onto the bubble? Is he played his way into a lock, or is he still just kind of a camp guy?
Bubble. He has played himself from a camp guy to the bubble. It's still an uphill climb for him. He had a really good second preseason game, and when you can make some plays, that's important. It's not a long shot. It's maybe the step above a long. I mean, it's not firmly on the bubble right now. He's on the side of the bubble where he's got to do more, but I'd put him on the bubble. He's got a chance.
And then a lot of questions as well about Danny Etling. He was really just kind of here as the backup quarterback, probably a practice squad quarterback. I mean, in any world, can you see them carrying three?
No, long shot practice squad. He is their practice squad guy, though. He's shown some really good stuff, and he's firmly that third quarterback on the practice squad.
Tyler Davis. That's who I was trying to remember. He seemed to be a lock a week and a half ago. Had a couple of bad plays versus San Francisco. Had a couple more bad plays versus the Saints here on Friday night. Matt LaFleur still gave him a lot of praise this morning. He said, there's still a lot to like about Tyler Davis. It's easy to look at the interception that he bobbled up. It's easy to look at the fumble. But there's a lot to like that maybe isn't as seen, especially his contribution on special teams. I know you spent a long time talking to Tyler Davis today, and you've got a piece coming out on him later this week. What sort of sense did you get from him? Is he worried? Does he feel like he's on the bubble? Or?
Yeah, he's on the bubble, and he's played himself maybe from a good bet to the bubble. But what Matt LaFleur gave today was praise, but it wasn't just praise. He gave a reminder of how you make the 53-man roster as a third or fourth tight end. And that's the silver lining for Tyler Davis in having the drop that turned into a pick and then having the fumble, is that his immediate role on the 53 is not catching passes. It's not playing offense. It's a special teamer. And I thought it was resounding when Matt LaFleur said his value on teams alone is noticeable. That's how you make the team as a backup tight end, is by playing special teams. That was really that was a pretty strong endorsement for Tyler Davis. You put him on the bubble because he's a guy that has to continue to earn it all the way through camp at this point. But if you look at those 2 plays, and that's what Matt LaFleur said, 2 plays are not going to change their mind on what he can be. Why? Because they're 2 plays that are not in really the role that he's going to play. The role he's going to play is special teams. If you're down on Tyler Davis, I understand. Worthy of being down on after having 2 turnover plays in 2 weeks. But a reminder, he's not a long shot. He's squarely on the bubble. He's got a real chance to make this team.
And partly the reason he's now on the bubble is because Bobby Tunyon will be back sooner than expected. Because, I mean, you figure they'll carry Mercedes Lewis, Bobby Tunyon. Josiah DeGuara has really come on in the past camp here. And so you figure with that, he was going to be on the bubble regardless. And that didn't even necessarily have to do with anything that happened the past couple of weeks. As we said, they have to be down to 80 by tomorrow, 53 next week. Between then, they'll play a game. Thursday night, 7:30 in Kansas City. Our colleague Tom Silverstein will be there to cover it for you from Kansas City. Ryan, Pete Doherty, and I will have coverage for you here from Green Bay as well. They've still got another practice before they head to Kansas City, so stick tuned to PackersNews.com for full coverage as they get ready for that final preseason game. Ryan, any final thoughts?
Let's go Mets.
I could have bet $5 that that's what he was going to say. I should have known.
It's always on my mind somewhere. It's August, you're welcome at home.
Yeah. We'll start talking about baseball here soon. We'll never get off. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. As we said, stay tuned to PackersNews.com for full coverage as the Packers get ready to wrap